Welcome back to Furuno Connections. On the last episode, we started our fish finder testing by running out to the marathon hump. We tested each of the internal fish finders in waters as deep as 500 to 1,000 feet. Today we're going to visit several wrecks in different depths of water so we can test the fish finders. We're going to see how the internal CHIRP fish finders perform on each of the systems, and I'm going to show you some features within TZtouch3 and see how they compare to each of the MFDs as well. So sit back and let's get started.
Okay, so right now we're over a wreck and we're in 140 feet of water. You can see how the TZtouch3 MFD CHIRP Fish Finder is just so detailed. So we're seeing all this marks in such amazing detail. I can go back in history, check them out, touch anywhere on the display, bring up more information, such as go to a new point or make a point right where those fish are. It'll automatically mark that point and mark the lat long. I can go back and circle back around to those anytime I want. Really nice feature. If I hit cancel history, it goes back to real-time mode again.
Eric, now let's look how clear this is. We can actually see one fish that's lurking above. This right here, we have a whole big wad of bait. Right. And then this is other fish that are just going to be your predatory fish right here. Right. You see a school of that. So this is going to be a bunch of bait. This right here could be a school of mackerel. And this right here could even be a wahoo, sailfish, anything like that. This is amazing really detail on this TZT3.
Yeah, you're not going to see arcs if we're hovering over the top of the fish for a long time. We're over that wreck. You're just going to see lines like that, but those are absolutely fish, and I can totally understand how with the detail of the CHIRP, the TruEcho CHIRP signal processing, how we can easily discern that these are this blob right here is bait fish, and then these are more individual, larger fish that are probably preying on the bait fish.
Really. Absolutely.
Back here on System C, we've moved in yet just a little more shallow. Cam, where are we at now?
100 feet shallower, just inshore kind of from where we were.
Okay.
What we're looking for here is another, rise in the bottom. We're actually looking for an old shrimp boat.
All right.
And, yeah.
What kind of fish can we expect to find here?
Here, a little bit of the same as what we were looking for. You'll see a big pod of kingfish, amberjacks, that kind of thing. A lot of bait, blue runners, little jacks should be on this thing as well, so you should see a big bait ball. And the bottom will mark up lightly as well.
All right, we've got our high CHIRP on the left and our low CHIRP on the right. And we just made a pass over the wreck. So, Cam, what do you think we're seeing over here on the left with these fish?
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, that's a lot of the mackerels and jacks that kind of we're talking about there. You're going to see them here. Then you'll see kind of a lot of density here. That's going to be more bait oriented around the wreck. You kind of see the obtrusion on the bottom, and that's going to be the structure.
All right. So System C, running the B275, LHW here. So we're able to find the structure off the bottom, the pods of fish. We're even seeing, some kind of fish over here, on the high CHIRP. We're picking them up a little bit on the low CHIRP. I would still think at 140 feet, being a 1 kilowatt system, I think we'd be marking these just a little bit harder. Keep in mind, we're still running everything in auto. And just to make sure everybody can see, we'll hit that auto button again. And as you can see, nothing changes. So this is what we're seeing on System C at about 140 feet. Let's say we saw this school of fish here on our high CHIRP side. Let's say we want to drop a waypoint where that school of fish is, and we want to try and come back to it in hopes that they're going to be in the same area. What we're going to do is we're going to touch and hold on the screen after we make that page active, and we're going to say add waypoint. Now, we're going to make that a fish icon. We're going to say okay. So now that waypoint is always going to be on there. So we have the ability to drive back to it and get on the fish.
So now we've moved back down into the 130, 140 range. This CHIRP Fish Finder is still working pretty flawlessly. We're getting some nice images on some structure here. And I think these are, we're getting a couple of good schools of fish going around in here.
Yeah, that looks just like you, huh?
We didn't hook anything though, did we?
Not yet. We're giving them a break for today.
Right? So you've got some, some decent structure here. We got some fish symbols. It's picking up some good detail. You know, we could see a lot on, you know, the low and the high. Now, the other thing we noticed, and it's done this about 3 times now, is this, the screen glitchiness going on up here. It's duplicating the same screen and putting it in these little boxes up at the top. We're not quite sure why. It started doing it this morning, and it's been getting more and more frequent, so we don't know what that means. We're gonna have to screw around with it, I think, when we get back to dock and, you know, see if we can fix it.
So let's take a look at the sounder screen. Let's drop a mark and see what we got.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to press mark. Okay, so it's going to pop right up. We're creating a waypoint. If we want to edit it or change symbols or anything. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Go back to it. Press edit. We can change the name. We can change the symbol. We can adjust position. But for right now, we're going to keep it as is. So it's waypoint 64. Okay, so I don't see a mark on the sounder screen, which is a little bit different from the way Furuno operates our TZtouch systems. You would see a mark on the screen, but so I would assume, Matt, what it's going to do is it's probably putting it on the plotter page,
On the plotter itself.
Okay, so let's go out and take a look at that. And we'll go to the nav chart. Okay, and yep, there's 64 right there. So just like Captain Mike mentioned, he can come back to waypoint 64 anytime he wants to. It's on the plotter screen.
We moved to 140 feet of water over a shrimp boat wreck. All 4 MFD's internal 1 kilowatt CHIRP fish finders did a great job of displaying the wreck, the fish, and the bait surrounding it.
So Jack, one of the great things about the user interface on TZtouch3 is this edge swipe feature. And I'm just going to swipe up from the bottom, bring up this layers menu on the fish finder, and see how easy it is to get around. I can turn on my A-scope, turn on a temperature line, change my white edge. But here's a cool feature. If I just want to study what's on here, if I just hold my finger on here, it'll keep that menu up all the time. As soon as I let it go, I can either swipe it down or touch anywhere off and it'll drop out. The layers menu makes it super easy to adjust and super easy to look at. Really kind of a really smooth and useful and simple user interface of TZtouch3. So another thing that's really nice with TZtouch3, Jack, is the capability to go in and change that gain after the screen or after we've even gone over fish. One of the nice things is I can edge swipe again from the left side of the display, bring out this menu. I can either look at data or click on the fish finder box. And once I'm in fish finder, I can take it off auto mode, go into manual mode, and when I change from auto to manual mode, I'm still in the history mode, but I can go back then and watch my gain. I can actually tweak and go back and readjust the gain for everything I've already been over. So this, this gain, total gain control, or the post-processing gain control allows me to go back, move up and down, just figure out exactly how I want to watch or kind of, see the targets that are on the screen and interpret that, cancel history at any time, and boom, the system will automatically go back into real-time mode again. And then I can just pop back into auto mode and bring the whole system back.
We're back on the boat here with Captain Cam on System C. We just made a move. We're a little shallower now. Cam, where are we at? What are we looking for here?
Yeah, so we came into about 250 feet of water. We're out here off of Marathon again, and we're looking for a sunk plane wreck out here.
What kind of fish are we looking for still?
Yeah, so we're still trying to mark these amberjacks and king mackerels and things like that that are kind of in the thermocline, which is almost in the middle of the water column.
Okay.
Closer to the bottom, you'll get to mark the mutton snappers and things like that also.
So now we're going to go over this wreck, and we're going to see how well it marks in this 250-foot mark. What we're looking at here on System C is we're looking at high chirp on the left, and we're looking at low chirp on the right. We were able to mark the relief off the bottom on both the high chirp and the low chirp, and we're also able to mark these fish, up in the water column. Cam, sitting here looking at these two images, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so these images paint a pretty good picture for you. What you're looking at here, a lot of these arched marks are going to be those big amberjacks you're looking for on this wreck. You kind of see them streaking down, so you're kind of catching the movement of the fish a little bit with this high and low chirp setting. But yeah, you're seeing what you want to see there. On the bottom, you're able to actually make out some of the structure and some of the live bottom that we're looking for. So
excellent, that's good to see. So System C, with that 275, this high chirp and low chirp, we're definitely seeing those fish. We're seeing them straight through here. What we want to show you is, how do you adjust your settings? If we wanted to add a little more gain, or take out some sensitivity. So to do that on System C, they do a pretty good job. They've got a button here on the screen. You can see it's going to come over, and I've got my sensitivity settings right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to touch on gain. It's running in auto right now. We're going to touch on intensity, and if I wanted to adjust my intensity up, I grab that slider and move it up, and now I can adjust my intensity as well. But just to make sure everything was fair, we went back and we put everything into all auto, just so we know we're on an even playing field.
So let's play around with a little bit of settings. You have way more experience out here than I would. So, if we're gonna put this thing, let's try putting it in manual and, tune it in and see if you can get, what you like out of this. So right now we're in manual.
We are on manual.
Okay.
And I would just play around with it to see how much more I can start pinging there.
Okay.
So I'll play around with it and see where it gets me.
It looks like you really got to have the gain up pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah. I'm at 100% here. So in between 90 and 97 seem to be working pretty good there.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of these.
See a lot, yep.
The
it might be clutter, yeah,
All right, so we're running back in from 600 feet into about 250. And so now we're getting a really fantastic picture in 250 feet of water on both the low and the high chirp. And I'm pretty impressed with it. What do you think, Manny?
I think it's working phenomenal, and it's marking pretty much the same way as the one that I use on a daily basis here.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the amount of detail here in these individual targets, like this big school of tuna here that we just passed over, and all these other little, the detail on these small individual targets is pretty impressive.
On Furuno Fish Finders, we have something called post-processing gain, which means if I go in and make a change to gain, it makes it on the screen I'm seeing and everything we've seen so far. Sure. So it's essentially post-processing, just like you're doing a video. Yep. And I see that System A also has that feature, so what I want to do is show you guys how it works. So say, for instance, we're looking at the high frequency chirp side. I'll go in here and I'll make a change to the gain. And so we can move it up, as you see. But if we move it down, you see how it makes a change across the entire screen from what's current to what we've seen so far. So there's our fish we were just looking at. If I bring it down, I can clear up the screen a little bit, or if I want to get more information on it, I can just bring it up to a higher gain until I get the perfect picture. So that's a really neat feature, and System A has it, and I do like that.
When we moved to 250 feet of water over an airplane wreck, all 4 MFD's internal 1 kilowatt CHIRP fish finders did a great job of displaying both the wreck and the fish surrounding it.
Well, Eric, we're coming up over what we call the Flagler's Barge. Henry Flagler, who built, the railroads all the way from up north all the way down through Key West. Well, this was one of his barges that he actually brought product and stuff to the islands. And you can see right here, a lot of nice fish just before it, and we're sitting right on top of it right now.
Yeah, the nice thing about the TZtouch3 with this transducer, this is a high-wide transducer. So you're getting a nice wide 25 degree, 200 kilohertz high frequency system. And with this, it's nice because once I plug in that transducer, TZtouch3 will automatically identify the transducer and configure and optimize for the transducer itself. So really nothing to do, it's plug and play.
One other thing you can do with the TZT3 is you can make this picture either speed up or slow down by just using the edge swipe up, and right here it'll tell you picture advance, and you can even slow it down more like that, and you see it's just crawling across.
Yeah.
They're very slow, and go a little faster, or you can even go really fast. 4:1 where it's burning at. But in these depths, so I would use this, the 4:1, when I'm out in deeper water, when I'm sword fishing and that
stretch out the
1,800
target.
feet.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. But here in the shallow water, I like to slow it down. 1-to-1 is a great ratio. And
2 keystrokes too. That's the great thing about TZtouch3 is that the user interface is really optimized to allow you to change it on the fly and not touch the screen so much, and not be, not spend a lot of time making, small changes. It's really easy.
Even in 20 feet of water over a flagler's barge, all 4 MFD's internal fish finders did a great job of displaying both the wreck and the fish surrounding it. That was a great set of tests to see how each of the individual CHIRP fish finders performed in various depths of water. Each of the systems were able to see the wrecks while still being able to see bait and predator fish. Plus, we took a look at how to do a few tasks like manually adjusting your sea clutter and your gain, how to mark a fish target as a waypoint, and how to change the picture advance on the TZtouch3 with an easy edge swipe up and a tap on the screen, which is ideal for when you're deep dropping or fishing for swordfish. On the next episode, we finish up our fish finder testing by showing you a few more features within TZtouch3. Until then, tight lines. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the bell below to get notifications for the next time we release new videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.